It seems we really struggle with setting our goals. So, why is it so hard? Today, we'll look at setting versus doing our goals, why difficult goals are worth it, why writing them down is so important, and how do we get the motivation to achieve them. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell to get notified when we post new videos. You don't want to miss any of them. We have some really good ones coming up in the next few weeks. Hi, I'm Connie Cwik, and I've been a leadership coach since 2007. I help professionals in a diverse global workplace bridge multi-generational and workplace gaps by building strong communication skills. At Cwik Business Connections, we use our Success Mindset program to take the judgment out of your communications with people who are different from you, whether that be culturally, gender, level, or age, so you can create a life of power, presence, and purpose. Are you ready to create a more harmonious, trust-filled workplace that is inclusive? Then join us on this journey. Goal setting is hard because we have vague, small, and irrelevant goals, an underdeveloped action plan, and an unclear routine to keep us accountable. So realizing how these traps are getting in the way of achieving your goals can save you months and years of fruitless and frustrating actions. So let's talk about setting goals versus doing or achieving our goals. First, setting goals. Set both short and long-term goals. Set SMART goals. Set goals that motivate you. Write your goals down and put them in a place that you can see it. Then adjust your goals as necessary. Most importantly, I think, is to recognize and reward yourself when you meet a goal. Now let's talk about achieving our goals. First, write down your goal. I'm going to say that multiple times. Set a deadline, work on your mindset, develop your skill set, and take that first step. Then continue to completion of the goal. And once again, reward yourself when you achieve it. Let's talk about why difficult goals are worth it. Setting big goals forces you to try a bunch of different methods of doing things and to make mistakes, all of which exist because you're pushing yourself to meet an ambitious goal. So you take on more learning opportunities and you're more adaptable. Then I want you to aim for the moon. Even if you fail, you'll land among the stars. Sounds pretty, but is it really something you should live by? As it turns out, some people would say, yes. The rationale being, if you aim big, therefore plan for big, prepare for big, and commit to big. And even if things don't quite work out the way you planned, you might just end up in a better situation than you'd planned if you'd planned small and achieved your goal. But is it practical? This sounds great in theory, but in practice, how do you reconcile this thinking with the practicalities of everyday life? Importantly, why in the heck would you throw caution to the wind if you're already on the path to financial security? Good question. It all depends on what you want and how it aligns with your values. A formulaic plan can get you on the path to financial security. But the most successful people are sometimes the ones who stray from the tradition and aim higher with very ambitious goals. So if you float this at the end of the spectrum, you could learn a lot from setting the bar obnoxiously high for yourself. So one, you change what you believe is possible by doing that. In fact, this doesn't sound like a bad idea to us. Most of us follow this sensible plan, and that's totally okay. But some of the most successful people have deviated from this formulaic plan and forged their own path. So when you think big, you force your mind to challenge itself, and it can begin to conceptualize new ways of doing things. And that's always a good idea. Secondly, you force yourself to learn quickly and adapt. If you're throwing yourself in the deep end, chances are whatever learning curve you found yourself on is steep. Sure, You could have aimed lower and made it easier on yourself. But placing yourself in challenging situations may force you to learn and adapt quickly. And I'm always in support of that. It may even get you to tap into your creativity to solve issues in ways you otherwise wouldn't have to. Thirdly, you learn to perform in difficult circumstances. While aiming high can help you fly past some roadblocks, there will always be setbacks which totally knock you down. When your goals are big, you may be more likely to foster the mindset of a marathon runner than a sprinter. There will be setbacks along the way. There will be. You're mentally prepared. You're picking yourself up and carrying on. And by doing that, you will help build up your resilience. American historian and philosopher Will Durant said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." When you continuously stretch yourself, encountering adversity and difficult times becomes less uncomfortable because you establish a tolerance and inbuilt perseverance. 4, failure offers key learning opportunities. Speaking purely from a statistical perspective, when you set yourself impossible goals, the odds aren't in your favor, are they? No. But if you take calculated risk and fail, at the very least, you've gained a valuable learning experience. 5, you get excited. When you decide to step away from normal and pursue your big, huge, crazy dream, you'll probably find yourself pretty darn excited, really excited, because you're actively taking steps to build the life you want. Never underestimate the power of the deep, intrinsic motivation that comes from working towards something you truly want and believe in. Do you have a hard time setting your goals or staying motivated to achieve them? If so, give us a shout out in the comments below. Tell us your story. We'd really love to hear it. Here's why writing down your goals really does work. Writing down your goals narrows your focus and provides short-term motivation and excitement. Written goals force you to choose specific, measurable goals that are important to you in the long term and the short term. You see, having this clarity helps you filter out things, activities, and people that don't support your goals. According to a USA Today report on New Year's resolutions, people who write down their resolutions are more likely to keep them than people who simply think or talk about them. Even if only the difference between these two groups of people is the act of writing their goals down beforehand. All of you that know me know I'm a big proponent of that. It turns out that the seemingly simple act of writing unlocks all sorts of psychological and personal dynamics which translate to real, tangible results. We're talking more than 100% difference in results. Pay attention to the following factors. They spell out why writing down your goals, whether they're smaller short-term goals or big picture long-term ones, dramatically increases the chances you'll actually achieve whatever it is you set out to do. Increased motivation. Too many people subconsciously believe that simply thinking about doing something is as good as actually acting on it. They confuse thinking, deliberation, and analysis with action. Don't get me wrong, when you're setting up goals, you should research. You should get enough information so you can make a truly informed decision. The problem? Well, people often confuse analysis and information gathering with taking action on their goals. Yeah, they really do. They psychologically fool themselves into thinking that since they are sifting through all this data, they can hold off on actually getting off the fence and putting their money where their mouths are. So writing your plans and spelling them out with a step-by-step breakdown is the next best thing to having a life coach cheer you on every day. I do that almost every day with my clients. It increases your motivation to actually start acting on your goals. Too much analysis and information gathering, on the other hand, can leave you with a vaguely defined conception of what your goal should be. In fact, it's not uncommon for people suffering from analysis paralysis to have absolutely no concrete goals. Their objective is so ill-defined, free-ranging, and formless that they end up feeling less motivated. There's no sense of urgency, so they keep gathering information and end up no closer to achieving anything of real value, even after spending a huge amount of time, effort, and even money. A narrowed focus. So where your focus goes, your energy flows. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you're focused on something, it's easier to direct your time, energy, and concentration toward it. Accordingly, writing down your goals enables you to clearly identify what to focus your time, money, and resources on. All other potential priorities are set aside, and you can concentrate on what truly matters. This focus increases the chances you'll get a return on your efforts. This focus also increases the value of your return on effort and prevents you from easily being thrown off track. Have clear benchmarks. If you're fuzzy regarding the things you wish to achieve, it's too easy to give yourself excuses for failure. In fact, if your goals are ambiguous enough, largely because they aren't written down, I know I'm going to beat that horse, but largely because they're not written down, you can fool yourself into thinking that almost any kind of result is a success. Of course, if you were completely honest with yourself, you'd know that there are results that are way more desirable than most developments you get from your efforts. If we're honest with ourselves, we would say so. Sadly, it's hard to stay focused on these true results if your goals remain fuzzy and flexible due to the fact that you haven't written them down. Written goals demand certain results. Since you can see the specific results you should be aiming for, it's harder for you to fudge your results. You end up making less excuses and you set yourself up for real progress. Reduced stress. Since written goals are clearer and easier to pin down than if they were just in your mind, your overall stress levels go down. When you keep yourself guessing as to what your objectives should be, it is too easy to stress out. On the one hand, you might be mentally defining your objectives to be broader than they really are. This means you have a lot more things to worry about. On the other hand, you can think of your ill-defined, unwritten goals in such limited terms that when challenges arise, you freak out. You kick yourself for not having thought of certain contingencies ahead of time. I can't tell you how much that really does happen. You end up spending more money and time on fires you could have taken out way earlier, or even prevented even from breaking out entirely if you'd only written down your goals. Small wins. There is no such thing as an impossible goal. Let me repeat that just in case it didn't sink in with you. There is no such thing as an impossible goal. The only thing that would make a goal impossible to achieve is its timeline or schedule. And these are two totally different factors. Timeline or deadline and goal. If you don't believe me, just think back to the late 50s space race between the Soviet Union and the United States. When Kennedy boldly said that the U.S. would put a man on the moon, a lot of people the world over thought he was crazy. In their minds, a manned lunar mission was the stuff of fantasies. But then fast forward only a few years later, and the world went crazy over live television footage of Neil Armstrong on the moon's surface. The moral of the story? There are no impossible goals. When you write down your goals, you can break them down into smaller, easier to schedule modules. The more you can break a goal down into modules that fit a realistic timeline, the more realistic and achievable your goals become. It's hard to turn your goals into modules if you don't write them down. You might end up missing an important detail. Have better systems. Successful people are able to achieve success and maintain it by building systems. They automate, they outsource, they do things in a certain sequence that improves the value of their results, or it speeds up their processes. In other words, they use systems instead of simply relying on getting lucky. Getting lucky feels fun, but you can't rely on it. If you don't write down your goals, you make it incredibly hard on yourself to come up with a system. You may end up chasing your tail because you missed an important detail, or you failed to pay attention to a crucial process. So the bottom line, if you want to turn more of your great ideas, hopes, and dreams into a form you can see, hear, touch, taste, and smell, you need to write down your goals. They may seem awesome in your mind, but you might end up simply running on the fumes of wishful thinking if you don't bother to write them down. Achieve success faster and more efficiently with less stress by simply writing down your goals. Do it today and start experiencing better results. Now, how do you get motivated to achieve those goals? The relationship between goals and motivations. Let's talk about that. Goals increase your motivation, but you need the motivation to take steps toward your goals. This is a classic chicken and egg situation. It's hard to know which comes first. Here's the thing, neither of them does. Setting a goal might motivate you, but you might feel motivated to set a goal. And failing to achieve a goal has been proven to hinder your motivation and self-esteem. But setting and achieving realistic goals is crucial to keeping your brain motivated and focused. How does goal setting improve your motivation? Goals improve motivation by giving you a tangible outcome for your work. Every time you complete one, you feel a sense of accomplishment, motivating you to then keep going. The trick is to structure your goals appropriately. So here's how to use goal setting to improve your motivation. First, set SMART goals. If you've done your reading about goal setting, you probably already heard about the SMART method. I somewhat believe in the SMART method. I think there's more to it, but the acronym stands for goals that are specific. What are you trying to accomplish? What actions will you take? Measurable. How will you know you have succeeded? Attainable. Can you complete the goal with your current skills and resources? Relevant. Does this goal align with your wider purpose and values? Time-bound. What is your deadline? Both your career and personal goals should follow this method. It'll help you set realistic expectations for what you can achieve, saving you from disappointment and discouragement if you miss your mark. And sometimes that happens. And while failure is a great teacher, nothing kills motivation faster than feeling like you failed. 2, start small. Your list of milestones should resemble a trail of breadcrumbs. I recommend 4. Each one inches you towards your big goal. It's important to plan small with easy first steps. Achieving them will give you an immediate sense of progress, and that will boost your motivation to keep you going. 3, track your progress. Always track your progress. Once you get into the flow of setting and achieving goals, it's easy to lose track of how far you've come. So you need to create a system or download an app to view your progress regularly. This will keep you motivated as you progress along. A visual representation like a checklist or a fundraising thermometer works really, really well. And fourth, reward yourself. Achieving your goals is hard work. If they're aligned with your values and purpose, you're probably intrinsically motivated to just keep going. But on those tough days, it's important to add some spice to give you a little energy. Try giving yourself rewards to make a tough job a bit sweeter. So how do you motivate yourself to achieve your goals? Now that you see how goals can improve your motivation, you'll notice a feedback loop emerging. Every time you complete one, your motivation increases to reach the next. And then as you progress, your goals will inevitably grow harder. The trick now is to keep up the momentum. It's kind of like a snowball rolling down the mountain. And here's how to motivate yourself to keep going. Keep a gratitude journal. I'm a huge believer in that. Remember why you set your goals in the first place. Practice resilience. Lean on your support network. Look for success stories. Visualize the future that you want. And maintain positive energy. Are you struggling with setting your goals or achieving them? Do you need support with your goals? You should join our private community. If you're interested, you can find more information by clicking on the link in the description below. We have a great group of people who are a part of this great community. They'll be there to support you, as I know you'll be there to support them. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget, hit that subscribe button and the bell to get notified when we post new videos so you don't miss any of the great videos coming up. So subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you there.